So I guess it wouldn't be Christmas or a Christmas movie without some good old-fashioned adultery. Babygirl stars Nicole Kidman as Rami, a CEO of a warehouse automation system corporation who is extremely successful and who is very disciplined in her work life and her family life. She strives to keep up the appearance of having the perfect family, the perfect life, and the appearance of being in control. As she tries to keep up this facade, she struggles with not being satisfied intimately by her husband Jacob, played by Antonio Banderas, and the need to lose control, and on the verge of self-destruction, caused by something deep within her. Her self-destruction path starts when she meets Samuel, played by Harris Dickinson, a bartender by night and a new intern starting at Rami's company. They start an affair based on Samuel's control that Rami agrees to, and the rest of the film is just one big, sexually explicit anxiety attack. Directed, written, and produced by Helena Rain, who also directed the horror comedy Bodies, Bodies, Bodies that didn't really do that well, dives deep into the genre of erotic thrillers of the late 80s and early 90s, bringing back that genre into the 2020s in a way. Helena was also an actress who was in the film Black Book, co-directed by Paul Verhoeven, who directed films like RoboCop and Total Recall, but he also contributed to the age of erotic thrillers of the 90s and 80s with Basic Instinct and Showgirls. Rain, who's clearly been influenced by Paul Verhoeven and other directors like Adrian Lyne, who is the director of 9.5 Weeks, Fatal Attraction, and Decent Proposal, brings her take on the erotic thriller and brings up a lot of interesting questions that, based on an after-screening interview, she says she hasn't found the answers to, which is probably the reason Babygirl ends the way it does. I personally am not a fan of erotic thrillers. I never was. I mean, I understand the appeal, sex, self-destruction, mystery, and a lot of times murder. There's a lot of books written on erotic thrillers and why people love them. And there's also a really good documentary by Anthony Pinta called We Kill for Love that dives deep into that if you're interested. But for me, erotic thrillers are just depressing. They don't make me feel good. I'm more of a feel-good movie kind of guy, and I felt the same way about Babygirl. It just made me feel bad all over after I saw it. But when a movie gets an emotional response, does it do the job? The actual struggle that Rami deals with, this dual personality, and also not being satisfied, and repression is kind of interesting, but not really new. But the presentation of it may actually be. A woman of power being the center of the story instead of a man who is usually the power player was interesting. She's a powerful CEO who says that everyone is waiting and watching for her to buckle under pressure. And I feel like she is on the verge of that. She seems tired of all the control she has and wants to let it go. She wonders if, with all these plates spinning in the air, what would happen if she actually let go of all of them? And she does this in her personal life. She starts an affair with Samuel, who's 25 years younger than her, at least in real life. She first sees him on the street where he essentially gets a dog to calm down by giving it a cookie. This intrigues Kidman's character, I think, in a way that she sees her inner self as this out-of-control animal that wants to be tamed and controlled. I'm not really into film analysis. By the way, I'm more of a technical film analysis person, finding meaning in the lighting and sound design, camera movement, and direction, so I could be wrong, but there are a lot of interesting connections that I think represents Rami's psychological situation. It's not a film that can be watched once, really, and completely analyzed. It has a lot of depth, but it's not a movie that I really would want to watch again, even though it has the depth. I don't really need to see a movie about self-destruction and consequences again to get the message, especially when the questions that it does ask aren't really answered. We know that affairs, especially work ones, are going to have major consequences. Families get destroyed, jobs are lost, souls are essentially crushed. By the way, and this is a small spoiler, but it's the only spoiler, but I have to address this one thing. It was so hard to see Antonio Banderas, who plays Kidman's husband, be destroyed over the affair. I mean, in tears, heart completely broken. I liked how Rain cast the strong, attractive, successful guy who adores his wife to play this role. It's crushing when you see this scene. I mean, this is the desperado, El Mariachi himself, one of the coolest characters of the 90s. The film has some fantastic performances by Kidman and Dickinson. The cat and mouse control game is very intense and will give you a very anxious feeling while watching it. It goes back and forth, and you never really know which one is in control, really. There's a lot of emotional breakdown on both sides at times, and it's hard to watch the psychological destruction. These two characters would seem pretty ridiculous if not played the right way, and Kidman and Dickinson play it masterfully in a way that affects the audience emotionally. There are some very cringy scenes that last a long time. The camera just sits there, and you're hoping for a cut. The editor holds the cut, making it even harder to watch. The cinematography from Jasper Wolfe is stunning and purposeful. Every angle and movement or lack of movement is a representation of an emotion. Sound design and the score are very aggressive, adding to the tension and anxieties of getting caught and the feeling that the consequences of their actions are very, very near, like two people dancing on the edge of a cliff. There's one scene where Samuel calls Rami to the roof of the building where he tells her that he's quitting the internship and basically going to throw her under the bus. I appreciated that feeling of danger at the top of the building, and I thought it was very purposeful. It gave me a feeling of being so high up and the danger below. There are a few montages set to songs like INXS's Never Tear Us Apart and Father Figure by George Michael that felt like a callback to the original 80s and 90s of that genre. The score used the breathing of the actors in combination with the music to express the erotic nature of the film with the anxiety of the risks of getting found out and the self-destruction of the characters. I think directing these actors in these scenes, especially one in a seedy hotel, the scene where Kidman is treated like a dog. By an unexperienced director, the scene would have seemed unrealistic and campy, but it was a scene that worked for the film. By the way, I saw this movie at 11 a.m. with a crowd of folks over the age of 60. If there was a more uncomfortable movie to see this with, that would be that group. I don't know who else I would be more uncomfortable watching it with. Maybe my parents, my in-laws maybe. This film released Christmas Day, and it was Christmas trees, Christmas parties, and Christmas music. Even the A24 logo was in Christmas lights, but it does not in any way give you a good Christmas feeling. It was an interesting choice to not only release this film on Christmas Day, but to theme it that way too. The tagline, which I hate by the way, is "This Christmas, get exactly what you want," ties into the Christmas theme even more, but it's kind of disgusting and selfish. The tagline is really dark and cringy. It feels selfish and dark, knowing what it sacrifices to get exactly what you want in this situation. The whole film is really hard to watch. There's a scene where Samuel sends a glass of milk to Rami that apparently happened in real life to the director from a guy who was 15 years younger than she was. The scene is powerfully uncomfortable and embarrassing and controlling. I don't know. I really didn't know what I was watching at that point. I appreciate the film for its style and its beautiful cinematography, its acting and editing. It has everything a film should have to be an amazing film. But the explicitness and the dark psychological themes of this film made the movie not enjoyable to me at all. Babygirl is a masterly directed and shot film with some amazing performances, including probably Kidman's best of her career. It is a very sexually explicit movie that left me feeling kind of depressed and empty inside afterwards, and my soul felt like it needed a shower afterwards. If that was the effect the director was going for, she did an amazing job, but this film was not for me. I respect the filmmaking here, and it is amazing, but again, not for me. I'm giving the film 4 stars out of 5 because it is masterful filmmaking. Again, it's a brilliant movie, but I think it won't land for a lot of people. I honestly did not enjoy this movie. It did make me feel good watching it. It's disturbing and didn't feel like it benefited me in a way that was positive. But I feel like I have to be honest and rate it for what it is, which is masterful filmmaking. Again, in her own words, Rain describes this movie as a cautionary tale. So if you go see this film, just be aware it is a very, very strong rating. Like that old school Panther R-rated logo. Panther told you, be careful. So what did you think of Babygirl? Did it do anything for you emotionally? Did it not affect you at all? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you again for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for your comments. I really enjoy reading those and commenting back. And as always, let's not wait till the movie streams. Let's go to the theater and see it together.
Well, yes, it's me. It's me. I'm not against you guys, so keep it down. Just keep it down. Hey, I'm just looking for a man who calls Matador. Not yet.